we? All righty. I am doing a thing that I've not done before. Let's see how this goes. I am live. I don't know how this works, but I'm here. Oh my gosh. Hey, how are you doing? Let's see. Yeah, this is my first time going live on YouTube. So I have no idea what I'm doing. God bless us all. Um, yeah. Well, move my painting out of the way. Let's see. Hey there. So I am going to answer all of the questions that I've been getting in the chat. I've There's been a million of them, I promise. So I am going to work on doing that. This is definitely, yeah. I hope it does become easy because it's really awkward right now, for sure. But I'm for it. I'm okay. I'll get over it, I'm sure, once it's done. So I'm going to wait just a few minutes to get some other folks in the room. If you will put in the comments in the chat, tell me, where are you watching from? What part of the world, what part of the country are you in? Definitely, definitely. Thank you for the encouragement. I appreciate that. All righty. Oh, that's crazy. I was recently there. That is very crazy. Wow, very cool. Yeah, very cool. I've been traveling north to get away from the sun, or not away from the sun, to get away from the heat. I'll put it that way. So yeah, that's very cool. Yep, very. Most of the questions surrounded around food. Um, um, my connection is bad. Are you guys having a bad time seeing or hearing me? Is it breaking up? Can you hear me okay? Something else. Excuse me for a minute. I've actually got my Max Air fan going. I don't know which one. Hey, Jackie. Is that how you pronounce it? Okay. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. I will say I almost rescheduled. I moved to a new location and didn't think about the what my internet was going to look like, or what my Wi-Fi would look like. And when I got there, or here, I was sadly mistaken that, yeah. Uh, so first and foremost, yeah, this has been a journey. This was not something, I mean, I used to eat, any kind of meat, any vegetable, any fruit. And this was back in like 2011, 2012. And so the first thing that I did once I started not feeling well and having health challenges and sitting down with the doctors and hearing all of the things, um, I started out with moving to leaner red meat, um, and chicken, and just making sure that I had low fat proteins was the first thing that I did. And then another thing that I started was I started eating less of the things in the middle of the store, the pasta, the boxed and processed stuff. Really focused on vegetables and fruits, things I found in the produce section and things I found in the meat section. So once I started exercising and like getting rid of all the other stuff and eating more just vegetables and fruit and protein, that's when things really started to transform. I started to lose weight. I started to feel better. I started to have less pain, and the good thing is, fortunately, other than like I've never been on pain medication. I've never had to rely on something to stop the pain for the most part. Once I started moving, because I mean, I used to have arthritis pain, but once I started moving and did that regularly, I found that I hurt less. And then years later, I started incorporating turmeric and like omega-3, and I just found that I didn't, and then I started eliminating certain foods from my diet, and I found that that went away too. So I'll start there. So 11, 12, 2011, 2012 started out with just less fat in the type of protein that I ate and cut out pastas. I didn't cut out everything at the time. I had my son, and so I was still cooking. I cooked every day, so I didn't eat out that much back then. Maybe on the weekends occasionally, but I cooked every day, and so I still was making stuff for him that he enjoyed. So but I tended to eat, again, the meat was more lean. I tended to not do, like, he loved my lasagna, but I didn't make that very often. That was like once a month. So I just tended to make the foods that I was already making more healthy, if that makes sense, I guess. Then in 2017, I had a friend who had been a or has been a vegetarian for most of his life, for probably almost 30 years now. And he also teaches other people how to transition and become vegan. And so I started having conversations about, like, how does that look? What does that look like? Um, and that's when I temporarily went vegan. I did that for the thing that was great about it though was he taught me recipes that are amazing that I still eat to this day. And even things that I could find at different restaurants that weren't necessarily vegan or vegetarian restaurants, but they were foods that I could eat that were healthier and that tasted wonderful. So, and I'll probably share, well, not probably, I'll share some of that as well as we talk. So that was the next thing. So I went all vegetarian, no dairy, no nothing, all of that. So to be vegan. And that was in June of 2017. Um, and I did that for a good couple of months. By the time Christmas came along, me being the Bahamian that I was born in the Bahamas, partially raised there. I love conch. I love seafood. I grew up eating seafood all the time. And so for me, for Christmas, I was like, oh my gosh, I need some fish in my life, or I need some conch fritters, or I need something. And so I started eating seafood again. So there went that out the box. Now I have not done dairy or been a heavy dairy person for a long time. I, for a long time, always felt like, why am I eating or drinking cow's milk? Because that don't make no sense. Why are we drinking, or consuming the milk of another animal? Like, and it's not good for us, or and all of the things. I know for me, I've always had issues with it just not making me feel good. Are y'all there? Because I don't see anything happening in the chat. Please, if you resonate with anything that I'm saying, let me know. But please, just to let me know, can you guys hear me? Are we there? Is the connection still good? Am I talking completely to myself? At least it'll be recorded. Um, all right. Well, I'm gonna keep on going because, again, I do not see anything happening in the chat. Um, so I don't know if you can see me, or if you can hear me, or what is going on. But nonetheless, like I said, I'm gonna keep on going. So anyway, I went to pescatarian, but also at that point, even though I had cut out milk, and even though eggs aren't technically dairy, I'd stopped eating eggs, all of the things. Hey, sunshine, love yourself. Thank you. Okay, cool. So I was trying to see if you could still hear me or if the connection was still good. So anyway, I basically, I was talking about my journey. I got a lot of questions about what I eat, what that journey looked like. And so I was kind of really going into that. I just mentioned that back in 2011, 2012, I started out by just eating more lean protein, in the way of beef, in the way of chicken, turkey, that whole thing. But in 2017, I Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you. So in 2017, I went to eating to vegan for a few months, but by come Christmas and the holidays, I was ready to introduce seafood back again. So then I transitioned to, oh, okay, I'm gonna do pescatarian. I've always been low dairy. Milk does not make me feel good at all. Cow's milk, I should say. And I'm allergic to almonds, so I don't do almond milk. It's just like whatever. We'll figure it out. So I did low dairy. I've been low pasta or no pasta for quite some time as well. So those things aligned with me just needing to lose weight. And when I added more exercise and more movement, it just made sense and it worked out and it has worked out. I can always tell the difference. I'm always staying where I need to be when I am limiting or just doing things in moderation. That's the biggest thing for me. It's always about moderation. If you are doing something, you're just not doing it every single day, and especially if it's not good for you, then you're on a good path, basically. So now let's go back to some of the other questions. So that is basically so even now. So right now, similarly, I eat a mostly pescatarian diet. Also call myself flexitarian because I used to do like if I felt like bacon and pepperoni and some barbecue ribs, I would. I have actually recently decided to omit the bacon and the pepperoni just because looking at the ingredients of pepperoni, which that has beef and it has all kind of stuff, it's the bottom of the bottom. I'm gonna pass. So I have decided to like just leave that alone. Similar with bacon, I just know that as much as I so call, hey, what's up, building fire? I know as much as I consider myself to like bacon, bacon doesn't always like me. So I just feel like if it's not making me feel good, if it's not doing something positive, I'm gonna leave it alone. So I have been eating for the past, so I guess like 7 years. Wow, it's been that long. So for the past 7 years, again, low pasta. I stay out of the middle of the grocery store and really focus on eating, produce and seafood here and there. But even with the seafood, I try to be very cognizant of like where it's from, how it's sourced, and even with that, that's kind of I'm torn because sometimes I hear about the mercury, even if it's farm raised, even if it's wild caught, and all of the good stuff. So I again, I try to really focus on being intentional about eating vegetables and fruit mainly, and most importantly. Um, do I do that every day? Nah. All right, so fire, building fire. You know I love you. I will not share with the internet where I am live. Period. Won't happen. Um, just one of those things. Unless I like do like a meetup or something. Now with you, I'll share with you where I am because I know you personally, but we'll do that offline. I was sharing with Jack Black though. He's he shared where he was, and well, anyway, you can look in the chat and see that. Have passed near where he is recently because I wanted to go west. That was my goal. I was all about going west this summer. I held out so I could go to the Firefly gathering in July last month. But when it came time for me to go head west, y'all, that heat. I don't like 85. My optimal temperatures are 50 to 80 degrees. That's what I want. That's my life. I want that year round. So that does mean I might have to move and figure it out. However, the idea of traveling from this side of the country, from the West, I am on the East Coast, or East side of the country ish. Um, but the idea of traveling from east to west again in the middle of the heat was a no-go. I really, like, I literally was gonna do it the next day, and I started looking at the temperatures because I wanted to go hang out in Texas and Louisiana and, Biloxi, like places I have not been before. Well, I've been to Louisiana, but still, like cities that I have not been or places that I wanted to visit. But I cannot do 90 degrees and higher. Not mm-mm. It just, like, the thought of it was traumatizing. So I was like, nope, we're not doing that. So I did decide to travel north. So I am in a much cooler. In fact, let's see, what am I working with right now? Um, I think it's let me see. Let me see what it tells me as far as what the temperature. I am sitting at, oh, I forgot my phone, y'all. That's why I was saying, oh, wait, it came. All right. I'm higher than I thought. It's at 85, but I'm near a lake. So it's nice and breezy and cool. And I'm grateful. And overnight, it goes down to like 59 and 65. So my life is happy. That's all yes, absolutely. It can be. And you know what? I will say this, I'm really, really blessed because I just got it. James isn't on here, but the Ethnic Explorer. When I met with them back and I went to the van community build back in April, he insulated the back of my van for me. And when it comes to like cold, oh, I'm set. I am good. I am not complaining at all. But when it comes to the heat, if it's hot. Like it's just hot. It is, because I don't have windows in the back, and this is a metal it's a metal box. So, even though I have the Maxier fan, which is good, I will say this though, I stay at campgrounds often, well, sometimes, and I'm able to open up my door, and I have, like, I guess, like a anyway, I get cross breeze. And I'm usually by water. So that is super helpful and that can help, especially in the 90 degrees and all of that. But why? Why when I can just move and be somewhere else that it's not cold? I mean, hot. So that's just, I don't know. I've just come to that realization. It's just like, why suffer when I don't have to? I have keys and I have gas. So let's go. That's the point. So it's been much better over the past couple of weeks. I am so much more grateful to be where it's cool and where I'm not hot, and that's it, period. All right, so getting back to the food. So, yeah, cross breeds is it. It is absolutely a beautiful thing for sure. Um, that was so favorite recipes. I am actually working on a video right now of like foods that I eat. I have not been doing a whole lot of like real cooking right now. Just because business has been real busy and I have been traveling every few days. So for me, keeping it simple is priority. And as much as I enjoy and prefer cooking and all of that stuff, yeah, it's not what it is. Um, that's the one thing I can honestly say. In fact, I'll answer. There's a question that somebody asked. I was going to keep it to the last one because I felt like it was the most difficult. So Amanda's budgets asked what was the biggest challenge in making the switch. And I assume, I'm not sure, she'll have to clarify. If you see this, please clarify. But I think she was talking about from going from sticks and bricks to living in a van. Um, the biggest challenge I think, I don't want to call it a struggle, I'm gonna say challenge, is managing the changes because things change. Like what I imagined and what I had planned when I originally started on the road has changed and evolved in so many ways. Like it is so very different. I don't mind that. But you still have to be cognizant of that. Like you have to be able to roll with the punches. Well, they ain't punches. You have to be able to go with the flow. So you have to figure out what works for you, what you like, what you don't like. And again, that changes depending upon where you are, what you're doing, etc. Um, so yeah, there's that. So if it's too hot, I just move. I want to be somewhere else, rather than being stuck. And I don't have to be stuck. All right, so that's my health journey, talking about the good recipes and how. So because I'm doing what I'm doing right now, I haven't really cooked a whole lot. So I will get to that. There are some good recipes that I can think of. I know one of them that I am definitely working on. You'll see where I bought some gobi Manchurian. Um, from an Indian restaurant that I went to in Maryland, earlier this year. But I actually make it at home. So I struggle. If I go to a restaurant and it's not good, I'm like, come on now. That's not my background culturally, but I followed the recipe and it's good. I'm trying to find a way to not deep fry. And I think I'm going to just air fry in a like air fry without battering and see how that works out for me. But anyway, so like gobi Manchurian would be one thing. So when I went vegan for that moment, that was one of the things that my friend had suggested. That and Hakka noodles. Um, and so my Indian food recipe collection has evolved since then. Because of course I love curries and all of the things. And so when I eat out, typically it's yeah. Typically when I eat out, it's like Indian food or like Indo-Chinese food. Um, what else? It really depends. Like today, I went to a restaurant that I'm used to. I had gone to all the time when I was in um Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I found like where I was located that they had that same restaurant. And so I went there. And so I got like a shrimp po' boy. But it's what I like about this restaurant is it's like a fusion because they always like it's Southern cuisine, but it's like a twist all the time. So it wasn't like your regular shrimp po' boy at all, but it was so good. And it was like with broccoli, broccolini actually, with like a spicy aioli. It was really good. So back to recipes and how do I eat fresh vegetables? So one of the things that I do often is I go to the grocery store. I will buy a salad pack, like a kit. And sometimes I'll just go get like add cherry tomatoes and cucumbers and kale if I don't get a kit that already has kale in it or some, spinach or something really green and leafy. Um, I basically eat those often. So, like, every couple of days, if not I won't say every day, excuse me, because it depends on that's my dinner right there. It depends on, again, how I'm traveling, because there's a variety of ways that I travel, and I'm gonna get into that in a minute because somebody asked about that. So it really depends on how I'm traveling. Um, so if I'm, like, at a campground, usually I stay several days, and because not always, but sometimes they're in the boonies, sometimes they may be as much as 30 minutes out from the big city, a larger city, I should say, or from a Walmart or a Planet Fitness or like a bigger grocery chain. So sometimes I will pick up on the day that I'm traveling to and from, I will get a salad and just eat that during the day, and I'll add like tuna or another hack that one of the hacks that I have when it comes to seafood is I will go to the seafood counter and I will ask for them to steam some snow crab legs for me. I'll just get like one leg, have them steam it, take the meat out and add it to the salad, and boom, that's a salad for a day. So that's one way I get a lot of fresh vegetables in. And then if I will not, if I usually will have the cucumbers and the tomatoes left over, and I will nosh on those over the next couple of days. I don't always keep my refrigerator on. I do have a refrigerator. Um, but especially if I'm at a site or mood stocking and staying with somebody where I can plug up, I always keep the refrigerator on. And so those are the times when I will go and buy, fresh veggies. I struggle with that sometimes. I love my refrigerator, it's the bomb. However, it is, um, my lost train of thought, sorry. um, However, the refrigerator, I haven't quite figured out. It can be a refrigerator or a fridge. And sometimes when I set it to be a refrigerator, it ends up being too cold. And so when I have like lettuce in there, which I'm not a huge fan of, like regular lettuce, green lettuce, or but if you put it in the freezer, it sucks when you go to eat it again because it is not, it don't give what it's supposed to give or what I wanted it to give. So I struggle with that. So that's my struggle bus. So usually I will just, if I'm buying salad, I am buying it the day of and I'm eating it that same day. But the cucumber and the tomatoes, I'm a little bit more flexible with and can work with. It's just the lettuce packets and the salad kits. All right, we're gonna move on. Do I use solar to power the fridge? No. So I have 200 watts, two 100-watt panels on my roof. And what I do is that is typically powering I have a 1200-watt Bouge RV power station, and I usually keep that plugged up to that, and then I 12-volt the refrigerator into that. Now, the thing that I love about the refrigerator is that it is a compressor. So what that means is it doesn't stay on the whole time. Basically, the compressor will power it to where it sets to the temperature that I set it on, and then it's able to turn off, maintain that temperature, and then if for some reason it goes below that temperature, the compressor will turn back on again. So basically, essentially, it's not using too much power. Um, but right now, I'm about to order a new solar, a 12-volt thing for it because it keeps on unplugging from my power station, and we're not loving that at all. So I typically will use the 120-volt if I'm like at somewhere where I have electric. So usually I'm either using electric to power the refrigerator, or I'm plugging it up to my power station, which is plugged up to solar and can keep it running. So there's that. Let's see. Next question. We talked about food. We talked about how I eat on the road and some recipes. Um, Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, and you know what, Jackie? And this is how I started. Not watching somebody's live, but watching videos from other people talking about their videos, talking about, I mean, their vans, talking about how they manage things. And so I could figure out what I was going to do. And like I said, when I got on the road, what I had imagined has evolved in so many ways, in so many positive ways since then. So that's why I'm doing this. I've had so many people reach out and say, well, how do you do this? Well, how do you do that? So yeah, and that's how I learned because I had no idea. This is completely brand new for me as well. So let me, so that's fresh veggies, recipes. I'm trying to think of what other recipes like, um, as I mentioned, gobi Manchurian. Um, that's gonna come later. I promise. I'm gonna Once I start cooking again, I'll be in that frame of mind. But I have no idea right now. It's really a matter of like the salad kits that I've been talking about and adding tuna. It's been eating out once in a while. It's been oatmeal for breakfast or fruit like grapefruit and apples and fruit and that sort of thing. Um, let's see. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna do a quick version on this. Somebody was asking about my health journey. So, I am so grateful and so blessed at this point that the reason I've been able to get on the road is because everything has been stable. And so I literally go to my doctors once a year, and it's a team of folks. But again, I'm able to just go once, do my now every 3 months I do blood work so they can just make sure that everything is good. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where that is at this point. I've not really had any issues. I stay healthy and I stay moving. I'm usually at Planet Fitness every other day, so that I'm at least moving in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, that's there. All right. Oh, this is a good one. So I know there's tons of people asking for the van tour. Y'all, I promise I'm working on it. I've already started on it. But please just keep in mind, I am not retired. I am not on disability. I am running a business and been super busy as well as been traveling and recording new videos and editing said videos, which wow, it's so much more than I thought. But that's a whole other thing. So I promise that video is coming. I will be doing a van tour really soon so you can see the setup and get more information. Okay, but somebody asked me how I pared down to live in the van. Who we so this past end of this year, end of 23, um, my home base is in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And my son still living in that area. Well, at the end of the year, in fact, New Year's Eve, he told me that he and his girlfriend, who was also living in that area, were going to be moving to where she grew up, which was fine. My son is 21. He lives is I want him to live his best life. And so I was, but my home base, which is where I had all of my belongings, still there. That meant that we were going to have to get rid of the home base basically and move. Um, and so in March of at the time we had an apartment, and in March of this year, I pared down, as it's called, but literally, I got rid of everything. Other than like important documents and pictures and things, literally got rid of everything. I could show you the pictures. The place looked like it did the day I moved in by the time I was done, and I do not have anything in storage. In fact, when I moved in or moved down to the Atlanta area in 2017, I did have something in storage. Well, I guess 2018 was when I moved to that area, to South Atlanta, and I did get storage, or maybe it was when I stopped teaching. So I used to be a middle school teacher. I did that from 2007 up until 2019. And so clearly, I had a couple of things still from my teaching days. And so I got storage and I put those in storage. And then eventually I got tired of paying storage and tired of them raising the prices. So I pared down and donated some stuff, because at that point I was not teaching anymore and pretty much knew that I was not going back to teaching in the public school system again. Um, and so what I did was I pared down, and what I had left, I took out of storage and I housed it in the apartment. So basically by the middle of March, I had to be done and all of my things had to be gone. I literally contacted Salvation Army and scheduled a run, itemized all of the things that I had that I thought they would take, or no, that they told me they would take. I say that way. And then whatever they don't take, I took to Goodwill. And then I paid somebody who picks up junk and they threw everything else away. I It was funny because, well, not really, but kind of. There was this one really important document that I was missing, and that was one reason why I hadn't pared down sooner, because I really wanted to find it because it was going to cost me so much, so very much to replace it, more than I spent to get rid of the junk. So, but I'm going to tell you, spirit is it. Thank you, Lord, because that was one of the first things I found. And once I found it, I was able to release and let go of everything. And let me tell you why. The clothes was the first thing. I'm going to share in the video that I talk about. At some point, I'll talk about this. I'll share what my closet looked like because I did take pictures. Because when I divorced, which was 10 years ago now, one of the things that I realized at a certain point was yeah, retail therapy had become a little thing for me, and I'm not one who has, well, I was about to say I don't have a lot of clothes, but if you see this closet, this walk-in closet, I can't say that. But anyway, I didn't think I had a lot of clothes, and I didn't think it was a big deal. However, I realized in retrospect, and as slowly but surely, I just started giving away stuff to the Goodwill. I just started realizing, hey, I'm not wearing this. Hey, this doesn't fit. Oh, this is too big. Oh, this is too small. Let's get rid of it. And so that was the first thing I started doing. My sister, I have two sisters and a niece who are like really good at organizing. That's probably why they were I was surrounded by them. And they really helped me kind of pare down and just get in that mindset. Like they started it. And once they started me in thinking about answering certain questions, I really started, and it was beyond Marie Kondo in it. It was really more like, does this make me happy? Like, and when it came time when I had a deadline, for me, it was like, which do you want? Do you want to be stuck here with this stuff that you don't need? Or do you want to be able to get on the road? And I think that that was really, like, really honing in on that mindset was really what gave me the courage and the gumption to, like, get it done, literally. So, yeah, I just got rid of stuff, like, I got rid of it. There was nothing that I needed. I had all of the paperwork I needed. I had all of my pictures already organized for, like, my family, and everything else I took in the van with me, what I needed. But I will tell you, I still have way too much stuff in this van than I need to. So I still spend like once a week. I'm at Goodwill. That's crazy. But for real, I look at things and I'm like, have I used this week? Have I used this in a month? And I'm like, I don't need it. When I need it, it's going to appear, it's going to present itself. And I promise you, every single time it has. There has not been one time when I've needed something and I've not been able to access it in some way, or like it does. The universe is for you like that. At least that's 100% what I feel. I'm not a glass half empty person. I'm not even a glass half full. The glass is full. It's always full. And I have found that that is how my life has been. And when you live in that mindset, it's almost like you walk up to it. Whatever it is you want, whatever it is you need, like it just appears. It's gonna happen. And I know that may sound, I had some, I had literally had somebody told me that, that I need to stop sipping on that rainbow juice. because I am that's just who I am all day long. It's who I've been all my life. And it is what it is. Either you with it or you're not, and that's all good. I'm not mad. Either way, it's gonna work out. So, all right, there we go. So that's how I decluttered. I'm not saying I I guess at a point, that mental point, it stopped being mentally difficult. At that point where I had to make a decision, is this going to make you happy to have to be stuck with this stuff? Or are you going to be happy to be able to get on the road and do the things that you want to do? At that point where I realized, like, I can't tell you the release I felt when that place was empty. You know what I mean? Like, it was empty. It was like, oh my gosh, it's done and I can go and I can hand off these keys and keep moving and feel good about this. So, I just really focused on what I wanted, and what I wanted my life to look like, what I wanted it to feel like, and really spent a lot of time thinking about that, where I was going, all the people I would see. I'm gonna cough. It is getting kind of hot. So, oh, this reminds me. So, in order to do this video, um, I have closed everything off. And even though I do have a fan running, I've turned off the max air fan, which, you know what? Give me a second. Water, quiet. Did I say quiet? That is the word, but still. Anyway, I have one of these. This is fan and light. Um, and but the max fan, like when we get done, get up, how many miles it would be, and look at. So one of the reasons I bought my fans, just asking me this recently too. The only issue, the only challenge I have with my is that I cannot stand fully in. And I'm taller than I'm 5'8", and that's important to me. But two things. One, I don't spend the whole time inside this van. And when I do, I'm sitting down and working, or sitting down watching something, or doing something. And so it's not been a challenge for me. I do plan on moving up to one, can't stand it. But the reason I said that is what I got in exchange for not being able to stand up is I get 23.9 miles to the gallon. Repeat myself. 23.9 miles to the gallon. Those people in the Ford Transits and the Dodge ProMasters and the Sportsters, they get, or RVs, that's cost, like, I can go from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast on less than $300. So, I mean, hey, Robert, is that my central program? Oh man, I almost did this last night because I knew for sure that I had great hotspot and great Wi-Fi. But I had a very long day. So I scheduled it for today, and I'm in a new locale. And honestly, I forgot about the part where my internet might not be so great. So anyway, I'm gonna keep trucking, pushing. If I When I see the video posted, I will go back and whatever I was breaking up on, I'll do a video and include it. So anyway, the gas mileage is amazing. So when it comes to how much it costs for me to live on the road, it's not, it's basically, I definitely am not spending how much I would spend paying rent or anything like that, or how much I would spend. It's comparable to what I would spend. I spend, like, maybe, depending upon, again, it depends on where I'm going, but I spend about 100, maybe $200 a month on gas. But it really depends on where I'm going. So what I do is that when I plan a trip, I plan out how many miles it's going to take, and then I figure out how long of a time span it's going to be, and that's kind of how I figure out how much I'm going to be spending a month on gas. But I just, yeah, it's usually not super awful at all. All righty. So, all right. I'm almost there. Almost there. Uh so boondocking. Somebody asked me earlier about my fan, not my fan, my fridge and solar power. So I have a max air fan, which barely uses more than, if I have it on fast, maybe it uses like 17, watts an hour or so. But normally I have it on the lowest speed. And it's like 2 to 5 watts being used. I also have, so what I have to power, let's start there. I have two 100-watt solar panels on my roof. I have a 1200-watt power station, Bouge RV. I have a Jackery 240. That's what I started with when I first got the van. Um, I also have a 1240 watt hour or 1200 watt. I think I have a second 12. I think it's 1200 watts and 1240 watt hours. That one is by Vitamin. Um, um, I just got that one just after Prime Day. It was a great deal because I was thinking about making the whole setup with an inverter, and then I thought about just getting like a 2 or 3 thousand watt power system and selling the other two. And then I saw that on sale for an amazing price, and I said, or I could just buy that and have what I need. And so I decided to do that. So I've got almost, so what is that? 24. I think the 1200, the new one is more than 1200. But anyway, neither here nor there. We're going to pretend it's 1200. I'll correct it later. So that would be 2400, 26. So I have 2640, 2640 watts. Now what is that power? So of course I've got, my cell phone, my laptop. I've got, so what I use to cook is I have a 700-watt air fryer. It's a 1.8 quart air fryer. I have a hot logic oven that just heats up food. And then I also have an induction stove top. It can go up to 1500. Yes, air fryers are bomb. I'm just saying, especially if I have food to reheat. It's just I use the air fryer and the hot logic oven the most right now. Like I said, when I get back to cooking, I will get back to the induction cook stovetop. That it can go up to 1500 watts, but I typically only use it at 600 watts. And then I use it at like medium heat. And I typically only end up having to use it for like 15-20 minutes, depending upon what I'm preparing. So, so those are, and then of course my little incidentals like my fan. I have a fan that I think I just showed. I have this here. And so I keep that charged up. I also have, let's see, what else do I have? I have I have lamps. And so I just keep those there USB charged. I think that's it. Like hmm, I use a CPAP machine overnight for 7 hours. Um, I use it typically if I have somewhere to plug up, if I'm at a campground, I will definitely use the electric hookup. But otherwise, I use the 12 volt. And so that doesn't use up a whole lot of energy. But if I'm cooking, I rather have more than I need. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Let's go there. Okay, so oh, cool. Hey, Sunshine Loves Yourself. I love that name, by the way. So the size of my mattress. So what I did was on Amazon. So my van is super low build. And just like I told everybody else, a van tour is coming. Y'all be patient with me. It's coming. I'm in the process. Um, this is a new learning curve, and these videos take not that long to make, but super long to edit. So I'm working on that, and I'm working on getting support on that too. But um, everything pretty much in the van, I bought on Amazon, straight up. Um, I bought a folding bed. It was a full-size bed, and I took half of it. So half of it is it's 27 by 75. So I took half of the bed. My sister has the other half that she uses for anytime she has guests. And so I took half of the bed, and then I bought a trifold 4-inch foam mattress on Amazon. If you look, do I have that set up yet? I think I no, I have the wish list, but okay, y'all, I promise this. No, but I might. Anyway, I'll see if I have it in there because I think I have a whole Amazon affiliate list of all of the products that I've used. I think there's a link in my bio, I mean, in my profile. If not, I'm going to add it real soon. But so you can see which one I bought. But it's a trifold 4-inch foam mattress, and it's 27 by 74, something like that, really close. And then I bought another one recently, a 3-inch one, because that was super comfortable, and I had a lot of comforters with it. But I just felt like the comforters were more than I wanted to deal with. I didn't want to have a bunch of comforters basically. So I bought a 3-inch foam mattress as well. So I've got 7 inches of foam mattress. And then I also put like the egg crate things that you use on top of the bed. I put that, I doubled it. And I have that as well. So my bed is super comfortable. I love it. Like that was a definitely a deal breaker for me. I love my sleep. And I definitely wanted something that was going to be super comfortable. So there's that to answer your question. Um, so yeah. Let's go back. So we were talking about what it cost me to live on the road, answered that question. Um, Boondocking. So that was answering the power issue. So yeah, so for the most part, I can um, stay charged up. What I do if I'm at a campground or somewhere, I always make sure I charge up the power stations. But then I also can use, say, my main power station has already gone to um, where it's fully charged, guess what? Then now I can take the other power stations and let that charge them up with the solar. So I'm usually able to. I have not done a whole lot of boondocking. I'm just gonna be very transparent. And just because when I just had the 1200 watt and the 240, I found that I ran out of power, especially if I didn't get sun. If it's say I have 2 or 3 days of rain, I'm screwed. I mean, between the work. Oh, I also have two hotspots. I have a T-Mobile and an AT&T hotspot. That's what I'm able to get internet with. And so I have to keep those charged as well. So I found that with the 1440, it just wasn't enough between if I was cooking or if I was, I also have like a hot water kettle where I can like make hot water or I can make, well, I make hot water for like the oatmeal or for tea or for anything. And that's 300 watts. I think, but it only goes for like 4 or 5 minutes, maybe. But yeah, I found that before I had the second 1200 watt um, power station, I didn't have enough power if it rained. If it's like 2 or 3 days and I don't get full sun, I'm straight out of luck. So I definitely have been doing a lot more of the mooch docking, which is when I stay at a friend or family member's driveway. or I'm at a campground. Last November, I purchased a campground membership. And so I can go and stay for days at a time at a campground, and I can go from campground to campground to campground. So that has worked out well for me if I'm not staying at a friend's. If I'm traveling across country and I don't have a campground to go to, I usually will spend one night at a Cracker Barrel that's nearby. So there's that. Uh, so I think I have hit everything. Does anyone who is on have any questions? Is there something I can answer? Um, there are more videos to come. I have been visiting some places and I still have a couple more to come. Plus, I do have content already from my travels out west that I need to put together, and I will. Like I said, it's a learning curve, y'all. It's definitely a learning curve. And this is not something I do full time yet. So, um, so I appreciate all of you for being here. I appreciate all of your support. If you do have any questions, is it easier to heat your van or cool it down? Ooh, so I was talking about that just earlier. It's gonna have to be heated. And two things. One is um I already had a little bit of insulation going on that I had attempted, but I hadn't really put the insulation on the inside, like the empty spaces, the empty spaces, the larger ones. And in April, the Ethnic Explorer. I went to a community van build and he put in insulation for me in the bigger spaces, and keeping this warm during the cold spells is amazing. Like, it's amazing. I also, whenever I have electric, I have a 500-watt heater, and I only put it on for like 10 or 15 minutes and it keeps it warm. So like if it's like 20 degrees, I've been in as low as, I want to say, like 25, 30 degrees. I was in North Carolina back in 2021. I was up in the Smoky Mountains, and yeah, it was well in the 30s, like strictly. And I was good. And that was before the insulation, but now it's even better. But I was just talking about on the other end, the cooling. It's a metal box and I don't have windows in the back. So when it comes to that, I just move. If it's not between 50 and 80 degrees, I'm just gonna go somewhere else. And figure that out and plan ahead. Um, but a lot of the places I've been staying at have been like campgrounds that have been near lakes. And so between the max air fan I have and opening my door and getting a cross breeze, that has been super helpful. But again, if it's over 85 or 90 degrees, I just need to not be there. That, that is why I did not go west this year. I really wanted to, but the 6 or 7 days plus that I would spend getting there and living in the heat to get there and driving in the heat to get there, I could, that was a no deal for me. I decided against it. I just went north. So yeah, that's, yeah, that's it. Oh my gosh, it has been way too hot for no good reason. I mean, so, and I mean, I was born in Nassau. I grew up in Florida, so I know about hot, y'all. I do, but I don't have to anymore. So I just choose not to. I mean, and even Atlanta, that's my home base. And yeah, it's just, I had to leave there. It's just too hot. I can't. I won't. I could, but I won't. Not necessary. So I'll figure it out. I'm definitely gonna, I've already been in the plans and figuring out where I will spend. I'm gonna be a snowbird for sure. That's a given. But figuring out so I don't have to be too cold, but then I also don't have to be too hot. So between 50 and 80 degrees, that's my goal. So if it means two different places, I'm okay with that. I can handle that. So that is the plan. So yeah, Any other questions? Any other questions before I wrap it up? Okay. So my go-to or salad kits. So I'll go to the grocery store, get a salad kit. Sometimes I'll throw in cherry tomatoes and cucumbers. And then I might go to the seafood counter and ask them to steam some shrimp or some crab meat or something, something, you know, crab legs or I just add tuna. Um, that's one of the meals that I do very often, very satisfying. So that's one. Um, what else? Uh, what's another meal? I really have to think about this seriously, because well, I've been eating. I don't always eat out, but I probably eat out a couple times a week. Because here's the thing: when I eat out, typically it's gonna be something that is gonna be 2 to 4 meals for me. Period. I don't eat huge portions. So like I'll give it for an example. Today I had a shrimp po' boy with a twist, but I had that and it had like broccolini on the side as my side. I couldn't eat the whole sandwich. It was huge. It was blackened shrimp with avocado. So yeah, it was a shrimp po' boy, but the shrimp was blackened and there was avocado also. So it was so good. And then so yeah, so something like that. It was breakfast. I mean, not breakfast, it was lunch and then it was dinner. So, with the refrigerator, I can turn on my refrigerator and put the leftovers in there, and then in the case of that I didn't reheat it because shrimp was already cooked, so it's no big deal. Otherwise, like if it's something that I do have to reheat, again, if I have electric, it works out fine because I can put it in the refrigerator to keep it cold and then heat it up when it's time for dinner or time for the next meal. Let's see, I really have to think about that right now. I have been traveling and working so much that um food has not been like, as a matter of fact, today, like I usually I'll just take it to go, but today I sat down in the restaurant and ate and ended up having this great conversation. The bartender or the mixologist, she made me a nice mocktail that was super good. And because I had to take a minute because I've just not really been thinking about the food. Because it's been like breakfast has been like fruit, grapefruit, apple, stuff more on the fibrous side, and or it's been oatmeal. And then if I buy something, usually that's breakfast and lunch. So I do marketing is basically so digital marketing. So I'm a marketing strategist, and I also help I typically work with mom entrepreneurs, work with any kind of entrepreneur, but that just happens to be my lane since I am a mom entrepreneur. But I help with social media strategy, and digital marketing strategy as a whole, in the way of posts, email marketing campaigns, websites, landing pages, but also just figuring out how to make it all work. And from the standpoint of being a mom and having so many different roles, helping them, coaching them through that process of delegating and figuring out that, okay, you don't have to do everything yourself. Now that you actually have clients and you want to keep them, here are some things systems you need to put in place and automations so that you can actually be able to keep getting new clients while being able to sustain and work with the clients you do have. So that's what I do. Um, Anyone else? Let's see. I answered the meals. I wish I could come up with more to-go meals. Yeah, I mean, it's really stuff that I buy at the grocery store because sometimes I'll just buy the makings of a sandwich. Usually I'll do like an avocado, lettuce, tomato, cucumber sandwich. And with those, I can have multiple sandwiches throughout the day for that. Um, Sometimes so Trader Joe's. I'm a little bit into Trader Joe's. I'm just saying. They have like those shrimp and veggie dumplings. And so sometimes I'll get those. And I can't remember the sauce, that I get with this. So sometimes I'll get those. Sometimes I what else do I eat there? I'm still discovering Trader Joe's because I didn't have one nearby. I haven't had one nearby for a long time. But now that I've been on the road, I've been ending up near them. And so I've been on Instagram. They've got all these pages that are like five Trader Joe items or less, or three or less. And a lot of those meals have been really, really good. And things that I can eat and things that I can read the ingredients of. Because, yeah, I don't, for the most part, I stay away for sure from high fructose corn syrup, MSG, all of the stuff. I try to really stay with items that I can read, or that I can look up and know that, they're good. Do I ever travel and camp with other people? Yes. So I and I smile so much because I just came back last month from caravanning with a group that I met back in April. I went to a community van build. Basically, like if you have something that you wanted to get done on your van, you come to the event, and then we all helped each other and got something done. Like James, the ethnic explorer, he put insulation. He finished my insulation for me. And I met a wonderful community of people. And we just went to the Firefly gathering in July, the middle of July in North Carolina. We went to that event. And we have another event we're going to in October. So yeah, if I meet people who are like-minded and all about it, like for sure. And we're on the road. And because as a matter of fact, they all had YouTube channels. I literally, that's why one of my first videos says YouTube made me do it. I mean, and the reason why is because the person who hosted the event did a van tour of my van, which is awful, but that's a whole other story. But when she did it, people asked for my handle or like, my YouTube channel. And I was like, and so I started doing videos, and the rest is history because that was on July 6th, and here we are August what 14th, and I'm here. So yes, I do go to events. And in fact, my first event was back in 2022 in South Carolina. There was a group called Black shoots. I can't remember the name of it now. It's defunct, unfortunately, or dormant, because a lot of the founders and the people who were doing most of the doing are living their best life otherwise. But it was amazing. And like, it really got me so hyped. I'm actually, in fact, one of the people who I saw in April, she and I were also at that event in 2022. So it's always a small world. But again, it's just very cool. So I do caravan. Um, I have yet to do like big events. I'm kind of, yeah, I haven't really committed to doing any. I've talked about it and I've looked at them and said I'm gonna do it, but all of the events that I've been to have been like 20, 30 or less, as opposed to the ones that are like hundreds and thousands. Well, the Firefly gathering was like thousands, or at least a thousand ish. Um, but um, but yeah, so I like that for sure. I prefer that it's like focused on something. Um, I don't know, but yes. So to answer your question, do I ever travel and camp with other people? Yes, I do. I'm about that life. I do enjoy my me time and focusing on what I have to do because that's the other piece too. So this is not what I do full time, and so I do spend a lot of time working. And when I'm not working, I'm traveling. So there's that piece for me where if I do go to events and things, there are times when I do have to. I do. The good thing is it's remote, so I can plan my time around, whatever events and the things that I'm doing that are scheduled or that I make a schedule to do. But at the end of the day, I still have to be focused on getting things done and getting timelines met et cetera, et cetera. All right. Are you full time on the road? Any Hey, for that matter, let's do this. Tell me, where are you located? I did that at the beginning, but where are you located? And then number two, are you in a van or in your vehicle full time? Tell me about it for sure. And then answer that question. Do you ever travel or camp with other people? Hey, Vegas, very cool. I was there last year when I went to Cali. I was trying to be there again this year. I have one of my mom's besties lives in Vegas, and last year I surprised her for her 87th birthday party. Because she used to come out east all the time and travel, but just before COVID, she had, had some illnesses and stuff, so she stopped traveling. So whenever I get a chance, I go see her or I call her. But so yeah, so going to Vegas was bomb. But anybody else full time in their van? And also, like, where are you guys located? And you don't have to tell me the exact, because like I was telling somebody before, I don't share like my live location. I'll tell you after the fact, but I don't share my live location online for sure. All right, so I think I have been initiated. This was my first going live. It's very interesting. Oh, cool. Ah, okay. Okay. I hear that. I spent a lot of time in South Carolina, North Carolina this summer. Very cool. Very cool. I hear that. So I was in my van. I officially went in my van last April. Um but I ended up having to move back in and getting all of my stuff gone. So I relate, I definitely relate. During that time though was when I did get a chance to go to Cali and explore the West Coast and come back. But yeah, it's all right. It's time, it's time. How did you manage staying in your hometown while in the van? Because I will say this, when I first got on the road and I was in Atlanta for yeah, for about the same amount of time from April, May, June, April and June to the end of June. And I found it to be nerve-wracking for me, because I really didn't so I was, like, going from place to place to place to place and Cracker Barrels and places where I was only going for one night. I don't like that so much, mostly because I work during the day, and so all of that, like, it was interrupting my yeah, it was a lot for me. I decided that was not gonna be my plan. So how was that for you, Albert's child? Anybody else, camp and live um, in one area long term? Anyone? Can you hear me? I am gonna wrap up real soon, but again, if anybody has any questions or if anybody has any input, anything they want to share, telling me about your journey in your vehicles, please feel free to, or where you're located. I appreciate you all for joining me. Like I said, this is my first live. So I am so appreciative for you being here, and all of that good stuff. Thank you, Mike D. Not a problem. My pleasure. My pleasure. I will probably start doing these. Yep, yep. Definitely. I hear that. Thank you, Albert's child, for sharing. Yeah, yep. So, um, all of that. Yep, Cracker Barrel is my joint. When I am doing, so many of them have cameras, and yeah, I feel safe there. I've not done Planet Fitness a lot, but I have. One time I found somebody in Georgia who was down like in the Macon area, and she and I did like a little music tour where we went to, and I'll make a video on that one, where we went to different cities that like featured musicians, and went to the museums related to that. We stayed at a Planet Fitness. We did Cracker Barrel. I'm trying to think what we did. I can't even remember, but yeah. So I Cracker Barrel's where I mostly will stay, especially if I'm going across country. I found those to be super safe at my little spots. Cool, very cool. I've not done truck stops. Um, but I've definitely done a Planet Fitness, and I almost always I do hotel parking lots sometimes. If I've got nothing else, there's no Barrel. I have definitely done, just gone in after dark, found me a little spot, covering up and going about my business, and I've never had a problem. So, and I usually feel pretty safe there. Well, cool. Thank you, Albert Child. I appreciate you sharing. And again, I thank everybody for being here. This has been a super cool experience. I will plan some more coming up, and but I'll make sure that I'm somewhere where I have good Wi-Fi, so that I'm not getting frozen or any of that stuff from you. So, all right, thank you so much. Y'all have a good one. I am gonna say good night. Bye. I will see you next time. Thank you for your support.